I'm Aldous Aldwin. I'm a car enthusiast slash occasional race car driver. My passion with cars started way back in high school, and the year I won't mention anymore. I was so obsessed back then with the evolutions that I got a Lancer. It's not an Evo, but that's the only one available at that time, a Lancer GSR. So you'll have a clue at what era that is. So I started joining car shows and then leaned towards drag racing. Back then in PDRF days in Macapagal, I tried out drag racing. It was fun. When Subic International Raceway was open back then, I was able to manage 58 seconds on the lap. So at that time, that was one of the fastest laps achieved by a person. So now it's closed, as you all know. There are two other tracks available, that's Clark and Batangas, which I also race at with a couple of European owners also. So we have the European Touring Car Series, European Touring Car Championship, which is an all-Euro racing series. So right now I have two cars which I use for that series, an E28 and an E30. Not really fast. Both are old. Both are 1985 BMWs, but they're fun cars. For me, it's not about beating everyone there. It's really about beating your previous record, and of course the feeling that your car runs reliably on the track in extreme conditions such as extreme heat here in this hot country. So that's a good feeling for me to accomplish the laps, finish the race. I got an E36 325, which I debuted where I debuted my circuit career. So I used that car to race in Subic back then, and then it evolved to an E36 M3, which I would say was one of the best cars I've driven. And yeah, I miss that car. So there. Then of course, with that route, there's only one brand in mind for me after that, which is Porsche. So, and that's where I am now. I like the Porsche brand. Of course, any Porsche fanatic would want to own a 911. And at this moment in time, it's not achievable for me. It's not economically sane for me to buy a 911. But the 944, I think, is a first step into the Porsche ownership. So, of course, it's a yes for me. Porzilla was actually a pandemic build. I got lucky and stumbled across someone selling 944. It's a shell without an engine. So, of course, your imagination will go wild already in what you can do with an empty canvas, of course. So, I immediately got the car, and then it all began there. We got into that engine because that's the only engine available at the time. I really wanted to try a 1JZ, but unfortunately that time I couldn't find one. But luckily there was this guy parting out his drift car, which had an RB25DET NEO, and I immediately got that. So that's the story behind that. Feeling ko, when I got the car, it was really messed up. So, sabi ko, wow, this is a headache. I don't know where to start. So, lots of Googling, research, sleepless nights, of course. You need to compile all the things you want to do and look for a reputable shop to do it, no? So, really, it's a pandemic headache. But it kept me sane, of course. There's nothing to do. So a new project to take on and keep me busy is something worth tackling. No? I wouldn't say it's my favorite drive because it's kind of scary to drive. So power and weight, it's kind of scary because the car's light now. It's stripped down. It has around 355 rear wheel horsepower. So it could snap at any moment if you don't know how to control the car. But I would say it's up there in terms of fun. But in terms of driving, maybe the most pleasurable drive for me would be my E36 M3. All motor, so super saya. Instant power, very predictable, and that was the car I used to race also. Well, it's very easy. The most memorable moment for me and the happiest moment for me was the first time I drove it. So the build took exactly 2 years. We started the build 2020 and then I first drove it at 2022. So really fun to see something come to life after all I've been through. And you know, kala mo hindi mag-work but it worked. So it's really an ecstatic feeling when you do that. I broke down here in BGC while trying out the car. Couple of weeks after I got the car, of course I was trying to learn how it moves, how it behaves. And then here in BGC, for some reason, maybe I revved too much, but one of the axles and the shaft humiwalay. So yun, I was just there in the middle of the road, becoming a subject for social media. Yeah, but that was very, I mean, it's part of life, part of project car life. Another thing that I don't like about a car, and I say this all the time, is that it's hot because there's no insulation. The engine runs really hot, so the RBs run really hot. And then, of course, the air conditioning is primitive. We tried to integrate newer parts, but then again, the blower is still original Porsche. And at that time, I think Porsche did not prioritize cooling because, you know, Germans, it's cold there. My advice is to do proper research first. Try to complete everything in your mind, or maybe list it down in a paper. Find a decent, well, not decent, but a really trained, equipped shop that can handle the task. And it's also a black hole for resources because you already have a set budget. But of course, there will always be surprise expenses when you go into this route. Choosing an engine, as I mentioned before, there's the question of availability. So how available are these engines here in the Philippines? Number two, of course, budget constraints. You have to set a budget in which what engine is feasible for you to go into. And of course, if you're swapping the engine, you have to look at reliability. You want to improve the previous condition of the car, so you want to make it better. So I think that's those 3 points are for me what you need to think about. For up-and-coming race car drivers, I think you should start with proper training. There are a lot of good coaches now, so start with that until you feel comfortable pushing yourself. So you need to know the ropes first. On my end, I had the chance to train with really good instructors. It's very technical, down to having me walk down the track to see the uneven surfaces, things you can use to your advantage. So these are very technical things, and they will teach you the ways. So that's one thing. Number two, build a car that can compete and be reliable for those conditions. If you have a daily car, I wouldn't advise you to go all out on the daily car. So build na lang talaga a dedicated race car. At least when you crash it or if you get into an accident, you still have your daily. In racing, you should have discipline. If mabilis ka sa track, don't try it here in the streets. Don't be mayabang. Yes, you're fast in the track, so you don't have to take it here in the streets already. You're already acknowledged that you're fast, so you should have discipline. Don't take it here in the Metro Manila streets and even in the provinces. Life advice, well, actually be good. Treat everyone with kindness. Very, I know, generic, but yeah, be humble. If you achieve something, still be humble, and be an inspiration. Don't be mayabang. Be kind, and always give advice to those starting out. So if they want your advice, give it freely, because you don't know, baka sila yung the next na maging big thing in the car industry. Thank you to my family for the support. Of course, Tinio ako tinutulan. You didn't object to this project, and eventually we did it. To my friends, thank you for the support and the guidance. Of course, I have a lot of friends I won't name, but they're very helpful in giving me tips on how to set up the car, what parts to put, and also the shops, of course. The car wouldn't be complete if we didn't have good shops that can deliver from start to finish. I know there are a lot of cars that are being built now taking lots of time, and that happens. So I'm really lucky to have completed the car in a span of 2 years. So thank you. And yeah, the Philippines has a lot of good shops. So that's one thing we should be proud of.